This Pitch Breakfast video is brought to you by Spangler & Agins, attorneys for Charlotte's startup community.
Hi, my name is Michael Kelso, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of vitalnotes. Today I'm going to show you how vitalnotes is giving people the power and control and share their health data effortlessly across hospitals and institutions and borders. Okay. Before I do, I'd like you to meet Stacy. Stacy was a patient of mine with cirrhosis on the liver transplant waiting list. On the day of her transplant, her surgeon finds out that she had an abnormal mammogram a week before, which can preclude her from getting surgery. If her surgeon can show that the findings on her current mammogram are stable from a year ago, then she can proceed to transplant. However, her last mammogram was done a year ago at another hospital across town, and medical records is closed on the weekends. Here lies the problem. Even today, EMR interoperability is nearly non-existent. Doctors still rely on fax to share records primarily, and when records aren't available in a timely fashion, delays in care, waste, and medical errors can occur. Following heart disease and cancer, medical errors are the third leading cause of death in the United States. So, how do we gather records from multiple hospitals using different EMRs? What if we can utilize the patient to bridge the gap between health systems? vitalnotes is a web app that centralizes medical records by connecting to patient portals. Over the last several years, more and more people have been offered access to portals. Over half of US adults have been offered access, and a third of them have accessed their portal in the last year. We believe we can capture about 2.6 billion of those individuals. And the reason why is we surveyed a number of individuals, and over 75% of the people said they visited more than 2 healthcare facilities in the last 5 years. So here's the opportunity. So how does vitalnotes work? Well, it works kind of like Mint, a financial app that allows you to find your bank, connect your bank to Mint, and then Mint pulls all your data into one place. So imagine you find your hospital. I have my records here at UT Southwestern in Dallas. I connect my hospital to vitalnotes using my standard username and password. And then vitalnotes pulls all my data all into one place. Now I can see all my data in this easy to follow timeline and share it with my providers or whomever I trust. So our product is free for patients to use. In exchange, our users have the opportunity to donate their data to help others. We pool our collective medical history from all our users. We can de-identify the data, and then we can monetize data sets to researchers in pharma. Those who want to opt out of data sharing can pay a monthly subscription. And then users who want to upgrade their account can receive analytics and premium services. The healthcare data market is growing rapidly and is expected to grow to $29 billion in 2022. And there are several competitors looking to capitalize on this market. There are user-generated personal health record applications like Health Vault, where individuals upload their own information and input their own data, which can be very time-consuming and labor-intensive. There are concierge services where you can pay someone to collect your medical records manually, which is often very expensive. There are interoperability platforms that are sponsored by the EMR companies themselves that sort of go against the financial interests of the companies who participate in them. And there are companies like ourselves that are linking patient portals. vitalnotes is unique in that we offer a service that's free to our user. It's easy to use. It can link multiple portals without the need for EMR integration. And we avoid the long sales cycles of partnering with hospitals and clinics. Our team consists of myself, my CTO, who's an expert Java developer, and we have a technical advisor who's an expert in machine learning. We're looking to raise $500,000 to hire a front-end developer, another back-end developer to build our research platform, and to grow our user base to 100,000 users and $2 million in revenue in the next 18 months. Thank you.
Okay, nice job, Michael. I would have started off with who you are and what qualifies you to talk about this.
Right.
I had no clue you were a doctor. till the end, right?
Right.
But that makes you so credible. I
Right.
would have led with that, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but it was a little vague, right? I would be strong with it. It's like, you know the problem. You've been there. You've dealt with it. You're an expert. Like to see your expertise like right off the gate. I didn't hear you talk about security at all, or unless I just kind of missed it. And then the other thing was you did talk about competitors, but I wasn't sure how you were different than the
Right.
competitors who were in that same quadrant as you.
Right.
If you could just talk a little bit about security and then your competitors.
Right. So all our software is data encrypted, database, front end, back end. Because we're not a HIPAA covered entity, we're not a healthcare provider, we're not a health plan, we're not a healthcare clearinghouse, we don't have to be HIPAA compliant, although we are going to put all our effort into trying to do that. But right now, it costs tens of thousands of dollars to implement HIPAA compliance. So right now, we're planning on implementing all that once we raise a round to sort of get a HIPAA security advisor and help us implement that from front to back. But that is certainly something that's very important to us and could be very, very important in the near future.
And the competitors.
Oh, and the competitors. So where we're different, a lot of our competitors are either subscription-based fees, so that you pay them $30 a month or $300 initiation fee to gather all your records in one place, which can be very very expensive, especially for the patients who really, really need it. So these are people with chronic illness, can't really afford to pay for their medication, so it's hard for them to see the value of paying a significant amount of money. Also, the other difference, as I mentioned, was that a lot of our competitors require that you upload your own information, which, like Microsoft Health Vault, if you've ever seen that application, it takes a lot of time, and most patients are not motivated to do this. We're also reaching out primarily to doctors to onboard their own patients, which a lot of our competitors are not doing. They're going straight out to the consumers as far as marketing.
Good job today. Healthcare is a very hot space, as you know. It's challenging. A lot of competitors. Couple of questions I had. The most interesting thing to me was donating the data, but two fronts. One, how do you gain the trust of the patient that the data they're donating isn't going to come back and haunt them? I know it's anonymous and all that stuff, but
Right.
that's one thing. As like a patient, I'd be weary that something happens to that data and now you're using it against me or something like that. So is there some way?
Right.
How are you building the trust with the patient?
So we actually asked that question to 150 individuals, and they said that about 66% of the people said they'd be willing to donate their data. So there is a willingness to donate their data, and the reason why the main reason why people would use our application is because they're finding it that it's very hard to get all the records into one place. And most of them are not willing to pay for a service to do that. And so the way that we gain confidence is not only by going out there and talking to physicians and also patients, so either at health fairs or giving content on our website as far as educating people on protecting their own information, and also what HIPAA means and what it means to individuals. Most people find that the sicker you are, the less they're worried about privacy, because all they really focus on is getting the health care that they need.
And then you said you can shorten the sales cycle, and you just mentioned one of the challenges is getting data centralized and things
Right.
like that. How are you differentiating yourself? So there's like iBlue button that's out there right now that
Right.
pulls in all the EMRs.
Right.
What is your secret sauce that they don't have?
So we partner with individuals, and we do not integrate in any of the software. We're able to pull out all the data straight from the portal, and so we don't have to actually reach out to the hospitals, develop that relationship, or reach out to the clinics, which can take years to actually create some sort of an agreement with these EMR companies for a hospital to work with them. So our secret sauce is really partnering with the individuals who have right to access to their medical records. Actually, legally, if you as a patient ask for your records, the healthcare entity has to give it to you within 30 days. And so that is our way of kind of getting around the sales cycle of working with hospitals.
Right. Okay. And so this information is readily accessible on these platforms. When I log in, I can see all this information, because I've done a lot on the healthcare with integration, and that's one of the biggest pains
Right.
is getting people to give you access to APIs, working with these big healthcare systems.
Yeah, we don't use any APIs or work with any of their EMRs at all.
All right. And then I would suggest, can you get any of these big people that want this data, can you get them to sign up now and get the money from them now, or at least a soft commitment before
Right.
going down this road? Because I think that's probably going to be your true revenue source is from getting that data.
The big data, correct.
And before you go and spend $500,000 on a front end, back end, my suggestion to you is get 5 companies signed up, and that might just be a soft commit, and then
Right.
But I don't know if you guys have explored that yet.
So we thought about reaching out to some researchers and companies, but we have not. We wanted to get a little bit of traction as far as in our private beta before we go out and reach out to those individuals.
Yeah, I from experience,
Right.
before you go spend all this money,
Of course, I agree.
I would try to jumpstart that. There's a lot of companies in town you can, spend $12,000, come up with a mock-up, and show them to this. Hey, if we got you all this data, would you guys sign up? Yeah, we'd sign up. All right, let's have you sign something. I know it sounds hard,
Yeah,
but it's better than going and spending $500,000, which I've done in the past.
Right.
And then there's no one there.
right.
So
I agree.
if you're able to do that, and it sounds the reverse of what you should be doing, but if you're able to do that, I think that would help you
That's good feedback.
dramatically. And then the only other thing is the privacy side of it. I
Right.
guess the users are opting to give their data, so.
They're opting in.
Okay. All right. That's all I have.
Good. I think the content of the presentation is there's some presentation mechanics for me, just simple things. I always wonder about enterprise software with such a small raise. So to convince me that you really only need 500 grand to get where you need to get to, I would have liked to have seen like a little bit more explanation of product maybe in the pitch. To the earlier point, I do also, like Todd, spend a lot of my life in the integration world and a good portion of that in healthcare. So if you actually have a novel integration method that doesn't require integration with EMRs, I would express that in detail in the pitch, because there are lots of people that are in and around this space that have giant sums of money to attack this. And if you've got a novel approach technically, I think that has a tremendous amount of merit and would add a lot to the credibility of the pitch for sure. The only other thing I would comment on is I think this is an interesting space. It's definitely one that's ripe for automation and software and integration. But to me, it's a giant Gordian knot. And so my only recommendation would be to maybe pull on 1 or 2 threads initially. The notion of a kind of a universal health record for an individual is certainly a phenomenal goal, but there might be some places to pull. And the example I'll give you is a company that I worked with out of Memphis about 5 years ago that came pretty close in this space, but ultimately imploded. Not because of the space, more because of how they ran their business. But they were doing the same thing, but their context was very narrow. It was simply to be able to create the necessary ledger for drug interactions. So where procedures are something that people undertake on a case, a relatively infrequent basis, sadly, we're all taking an awful lot of drugs. At least I'm on drugs all the time, so I don't know about y'all. But I think the problem of drug interactions is one that is really, really interesting and problematic, and its scale is ballooning massively. And so that's one interesting place where I saw somebody play and really get some really good initial traction and some success. So I think there are things to do in this space, but the universal kind of health record is just really, really big. So I just wonder if there isn't a narrower context.
So we are not trying to create a comprehensive medical record system. What we're really trying to do is really focus on providers, their needs, because we found that doing our research that most patients don't really use personal health record applications except when they actually need it. So when they see their doctor, they're really sick, they really only use it to look at labs, their medications, to maybe communicate with their doctor. Whereas physicians, we need it every day. I'm a gastroenterologist, I get referrals every day, and about a third of the patients come with no records. I can't tell what the heck happened to them. And if I can just get a piece of information, what was the CAT scan results that you had at Atrium last week? What were the labs you had in San Francisco when you were in a trip and you got sick at urgent care? If I can get that, that is a sort of a magic moment for me, instead of them coming in with papers or having them sign the medical release and having that faxed over. So.
Yeah, I think one thing I would definitely suggest is maybe not going, it's going to sound a little strange. My dad just had health issues down in Florida, and he's in the middle of nowhere. And those doctors, to your point, had no information from his doctors in New Jersey and whatever. So you may be able to go to smaller cities and see a wider adoption because you've got an older generation there that needs their health records. They don't have it. They have wealth, right? So they're willing to sacrifice their information to better their health piece of it. So that might be go to secondary cities, towns in Florida specifically. Port Charlotte, where they where they misdiagnosed something. So yeah, so if you want to go to, if you need a contact there, let me know.
Thank you.
They know me well.
Thank you.
Michael Kelso with Vital Notes.